project, I am going to stamp the butterfly from the Gina K design stamp set called Never Lose Hope Mini, and then I am going to emboss it with charred gold from Emerald Creek Designs. And so I have just got scrap paper down, and I have a piece of cardstock here that I'm going to stamp on. So I'm going to open up my Versamark, and my Versamark is dirty. I don't remember, at this point I don't remember what project I used it on, but it still works. So I am just going to go ahead and stamp this. Make sure that I've got a good image of everything, and it looks like I do. It looks like I got some metallic in there from the dirtiness of my stamp pad. I'm okay with that because it's going to get covered up here with gold. So I'm just generously going to apply the gold and tap that off. And that looks good. And I'm going to fussy cut around it, so I wasn't too terribly worried about, you know, using powder on there. And now I'm just putting the extra back into the packet before I heat set my butterfly. So when you go to heat set, you want to heat from behind first and then on top. All right, so there is our gold emboss. All right, and then let me just clean up here for a second. What I am working on is a folded piece of cardstock. So this is a double-sided piece of cardstock. It was 12 inches and it is 4 inches wide, and I decided this is the inside and this is going to be the outside. So I folded up about 3 inches, and I just kind of eyeballed this on my grid mat here. So at the 3-inch, I folded this up, okay, and then this was about 4 inches, maybe a little shy, maybe 3.75, and I folded it down. And so what I want to do here is create a pocket that has a string closure, so you know, an opening here with a little maybe brad or something here that it wraps around. So this is the piece, and then of course the butterfly is going to go on here. And before I move forward, I wanted to also emboss this little hello friend in gold down here at the bottom, and I'm kind of hoping that this works out for me. It's small, I'm not sure how well it's going to emboss. Let me bring that scrap paper back in because I'm going to have to powder this. Okay, now this time I am going to pounce my paper first, just to make sure I don't stick to anything other than my stamped image. Okay, so once again, I'm going to ink up my pad here, make sure it's going the right direction. And luckily this paper has kind of a grid shape on it, so I can kind of see where I want to align things up. And I'm going to stamp that down. And it looks like it's stamped well. Now, whether or not I'm going to get a good look with the gold, I don't know. But we'll give it a try. Never hurts to try. So just going to cover that. And it looks like I might need a little more powder there. That looks like I got a pretty good coverage. And maybe just a tad bit extra on that H. And let me see what I can clean that off. Just don't know how that's going to go. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. If not, I can always cover it up. So I'm going to put the powder back in again. And once again, heat emboss. Okay, So, my goodness. For how small and detailed, sorry, I'm trying to hang up my heat emboss gum there. Okay, for how small and detailed that stamp is, it is gold and embossed, and I'm just pleased as punch with that. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is round these corners, and let me see which paper rounder I want to use here. I think this one will be good. So I'm going to round this corner here, and I'm going to round this corner here. All right, and I'm going to put this one back in because, see, I got a little jagged piece right there. I don't know if it will clean up by lining this up. If not, I can go in and clean it up with a scissor just to kind of ease that ever so slightly. Okay, that looks better. All right, so here we are. And the next thing I am going to do is I am going to sew around this piece. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, while this is open, all right, I am going to sew up this side here around the top, down the side, and I'm not going to sew at the bottom. So this is going to be making a nice little pocket, and it's going to be sewn closed. All right, and then we will add our embellishments on top. So I'll be back as soon as I finish the sewing. All right, so what I have done next is I have just stamped some ink from my Catherine Pooler ink pads in coordinating colors to what I have working so far on my piece, and I am just going to lightly paint this in, and I'm going to start with the lightest color, which is the yellow, and I'm just going to add that here into the center, and then I'm going to blend out and mix into the pink. I'm not cleaning off my brush because I really want those colors to kind of work together, and I like that peachy color that I'm getting there. So maybe I will wipe off and now try to get some of this pink around the edges. I also have an orange and a red down here. I just don't know if I will add it or not, but this is just really subtle color added in on top of the embossing. I don't even have to really pay too much attention to what I'm doing here because the raised embossing doesn't get colored. So I like what's happening here. Just gonna blend down that yellow a little bit with the pink, and then maybe add some more yellow there in the center. Maybe that's where the orange will go. Let's see if that works in the center there as a bright color. So I'm gonna try toning that down a little bit with the pink, maybe even dabbing it off a little bit to settle it. Yeah, I'm starting to like what's going on here. So I'm just giving an extra layer of the pink on the outer edges here. All right, so yeah, I think there we go. I like what we have. I know I didn't use all the inks, but that was just water brush. And let me clean this up, and then I'll bring everything in and show you how it all coordinates. So to show you how this coordinates with the front of my paper, it looks really sweet together and it's subtle. But to show you with my sewing, I finished that off camera, and you know, a little bit wonky, but it's handmade, so I'm okay with it. Hopefully maybe you can do a better job, but I wanted to point out to you that I was sewing with a black thread, and this thread was the top thread in my sewing machine, and I really didn't pay attention to the bobbin, and my daughter had used my sewing machine prior to me using it today, and she had put in a blue bobbin, and so I have blue thread here and black thread here. So if you want to make sure that you coordinate, you want to always check those things out, but unfortunately I did not. so we're going to go with it. So now I have my pouch sewn, and I am ready to embellish this. And Gina K also sent me a packet of watercolor florals. I'll show you here what it looks like in just a second if I tap everything down. Okay, so this is the packet she sent. It's an ephemera pack, and I pulled out 3 pieces here. So I am just going to lay these guys down like so. All right, and I'm going to leave enough room here to punch a hole. So I want to be cautious of that. So I can punch a hole here and then add a brad down here. And I've punched out 2 colors. I've got this pink and I've got this orange, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. And I may actually just make a different one because those 2 colors are a little intense compared to what else is going on here. And then I've got my butterfly. I'm going to give it a little bit of a curl here and a curve, and I'm going to round this. You could do it over a pencil or over a dowel, as I'm going to do here. Just, it's still damp from my painting, and so I am just gently curving those wings so I get some dimension. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that down so I have a little bit of 3-dimension happening there with the butterfly. And I'm not sure how close or how on top of there, but that's kind of what I am looking for. So I'm going to open up my glue and begin with the ephemera pieces here. So I'm just going to place some glue on here and just make sure that that's all well covered using my finger. Nice and sticky. Remember, I want to leave a little spot here so I can put a hole. So there's the brown, and my glue just spilled, so I'm gonna pick up and use what came out of the bottle. And I'm going to layer that on top of the brown. And then the last thing we have to do is add the flower. And I think that looks good. So, yeah, my bottle is just leaking out. So, good old finger application here. Nice and sticky. Alright, so we're going to put that right there. And then the last thing we have to do is add the butterfly. And like I said, I just want to glue down the center part. So there, got the glue on there. And then let's see how this looks off to the side. Okay. I think I'm going to like it there. All right, so let me clean up, get set for the next process with the hole and the cording, and I'll be right back. To finish off this piece, I have a piece of cardstock that I have punched in a circle and colored it to coordinate with this. And then I have used this tool to punch a hole here that I am going to now put in my little, I think this is called a brad. I'm not sure. I could be totally wrong about that. And I am just gonna kind of crunch that in place, hopefully, and correctly. Feels right. Looks pretty good. Might have to squeeze it a little bit more. That'll work. And then because this is a pocket and I can't really reach any tools in there, what I have done is kind of poked with a pin a hole here so that this can go through it. Right, so I'm just gonna kind of wiggle that in. I might have to even cut it a little bit further. let me just grab a knife here. I had done this with a pin, but I think I can just cut into it here with a blade. Make it a little bit larger hole for it to travel through. Yeah, okay. And then I have punched this. I held it open with my hand, and then I took my T-pin and I just kind of poked it a few times to get the space that's needed for this to travel through. And that seems to have done it fine. And then just with my fingers inside here, I can close that piece off. If I were going to do a lot of these, I might put these pieces in place before I did the sewing. So there we have that. Just get a few things out of the way here. Okay, and then I have some hemp cord that coordinates, and I am just going to go, let me think about how I want this to go. Okay, I want to take the bent part and go into that opening, and then bring that forward, and then put my ends through that. And what I was figuring out there was, where did I want this loop to be, in the front or in the back? And I wanted it to be on the front here. And now you can see that these cords can now twist around this to make a nice closure. And I'm going to cut these tails off because they're way too long. But I do want to leave them a bit longer so that you know, they're easy to work with. And there is the finished piece.